Good morning. Welcome to the Wednesday Wisdom Live Call. Today is October the 18th. My name is Marty Forrest. I'm still not used to saying that yet. It hasn't been legally changed, but it's going to be. So I'm getting used to saying my new name, Marty Forrest. My website is Hello Extraordinary Life. There's a free ebook there if you want to go check that out and get signed up for that. I also have a 6-week course I offer, and there is a flyer on the website. You can check it out. The dates are already in progress right now, and I don't have new dates yet for next year, but you can check out what that looks like and if that's something that you might be interested in for next year. And also, I do one-on-one coaching. So if you need more than what's in the group or what it offers for you, I'm available for that too. And then this call happens every week at 9 o'clock, 9 to 9:30. And we're pretty punctual. I don't usually start it right at 9 because I let people get on, but today, I'm going to talk about what's your MO, what's your modus operandi. I was talking with someone the other day, and she was going on and on about her job and not liking her job, and the customers were irritating her, and the coworkers were bothering her, and I was listening to her, and this is a new job. And I said, this is your MO. The honeymoon has worn off, and now you're unhappy with your job. And she's like, oh, you're right. So how do you shift that? And often we're striving. We're creating something in our life that we're used to having, the drama, the chaos, the something, because we're not comfortable with being content or happy. So we create these things out of habit. Sometimes we get triggered. So it could be any behavior that shows up consistently. Generally, it happens when we get triggered by something. Maybe somebody says something to us that reminds us of something else. And it's a fight or flight, often, response that we may not even be aware of. All we know is that we got triggered, this is my behavior, and this is how I am, and that's that. If we don't look, we aren't even aware that it's showing up. I have a story about my Lou. One day he came in the house and was just livid. Just livid. Who the F left the freezer open? He sounded just like my dad. Mannerism, attitude, unpredictability. I instantly became 5. And I shut down. And I looked at him and I said, I did. And now I can't even be mad because I'm the one who left it open. He thought somebody else had gone and got in the freezer and left it open. And just not everything was thawed, but enough. My point is, my reaction is to shut down because he's now triggered something that happened to me when I was a kid. So my MO, my modus operandi, is to react. And it took me a while to look at what am I feeling, what just happened, because he kept wanting to talk about it and wanting me to get over it. And I said, you need to stop talking to me and leave me alone, which shocked him because as long as he was talking, I'm shutting down because he wants to fix it. And I'm recognizing this. I'm well aware of my patterns, and I'm recognizing that I'm just shutting down, and you need to stop talking to me so I can actually feel what's going on. And it wasn't until the next day that I came back and I said, here's what occurred for me. Is my dad was very unpredictable. We never knew who was coming home. So I always lived in that fear of who's the person walking in the door? Is he going to be the one that was angry because of something that happened at work? Is he going to be the one that's happy to see us when he comes in the door because dinner's on the table waiting for him? I just never knew, so I was always on guard. And Lou is generally not that way. He's usually very consistent in his behavior. So it was very much a surprise to me. And I reverted right there. My MO is to shut down and protect myself because it's not safe. So that's just two ways I shared. There's many things that we might do. If someone speaks to us, let's just say in line at a grocery store, someone gets nasty. What do we do? Do we react back to them, or do we kill them with kindness? What's our reaction to that? Generally, it's triggering something in me, real or imagined, that I feel like I need to protect. So there's something there that's happened long ago, probably, that still has a pain attached to it. Somebody triggers that. Somebody touches it or gets too close to it. I'm reacting. My MO is to react in some behavior, either to get defensive, walk away from them, get nasty back at them. Maybe just sometimes we just smile. I'm not usually that. That's not usually me when someone's nasty to me. And I was really thinking about this when I was driving, because I was driving this morning from Lincoln to Modesto. So it's a good solid hour, almost 2-hour drive. Not quite in rush hour traffic. But I'm watching people, and I'm considering how they drive is how they are in their life. How am I driving? Because it shows up everywhere, depending on what's getting triggered for us. I'm usually pretty calm, but today I'm not always. I just watch people and I go, wow, what are they doing? And I got present to observing myself instead of having my reaction that I would normally do, where I'm like, are you really that stupid? Look at what you're doing. You're cutting people off. You're going to cause an accident. I'm having these reactions. And so I just started observing myself and going, well, maybe they're in a hurry. They have to get somewhere on time. I don't know. I just try to shift it to have a new perspective, so I'm not just sitting in my MO, my reaction of what I do when people drive stupid in my mind. Because, hello, I've done the same thing. I'm not usually weaving in and out of traffic, but I've done things in my driving, and then someone does it to me, and I go, oh, and there I am. Because I didn't see something. But I'm still having my reaction because I got afraid, or I fear for someone else's life maybe. So it's being mindful. We were just talking about that, Kate, about being mindful when you can't do anything else but sit around and heal. And when we're reacting, generally there's a cue. There's something happening that I am becoming aware of to pay attention to. And that's what I offer, is to become aware of what is our trigger today. What's triggering me today? Is it my boss's tone of voice when he comes in and now I'm in trouble? If we become aware of that and we look at it, generally I go, what age did I just become? Because when Lou did that, when he came in yelling about the freezer, I became 5-ish, somewhere in there. So it's usually something that gets triggered from when we were young and we had something that happened from our parents or parenting or teacher. Somebody created a wound for us, something painful. And generally all of our reactions are to protect that, to cover that pain, because we don't want to feel that pain anymore. And it could be something they said. It could be that they left. It could be that they emotionally left. My parents were always there, but emotionally they weren't there. So there's an abandonment around emotionally they weren't available. And then I'd either be criticized. Nothing was ever good enough. This is my interpretation. And so today when somebody says something or behaves in some certain way that reminds me of that time, it's automatic. Because I want to protect that pain or that wound that's still there, not quite as open and raw as it's been for a long time, but it still gets triggered. Today, those triggers are now opportunities to heal those deeper layers. But in the moment, it's paying attention to our own, because it's usually it's a visceral reaction. We're not consciously going, oh, I think I'm going to react this way. We react. And then sometimes, when it gets going really good, we're healing, and we're raising our set point of what's comfortable for us. It gets uncomfortable. Then when it gets uncomfortable, I'm either going to keep allowing myself to be uncomfortable so I can keep growing, or I'm going to create something to bring me back down to where I'm comfortable. Does that make sense? So if the thermostat's at 78, that's what I know most of my life. I'm not going to let myself get too far high above it. I won't get too happy above it, too loving above it, too joyful above it, and I won't get too far below it either. Angry, sad, mad. I'll do whatever I need to do to keep it consistent until we start growing and raising the set point. Because we grow up at a certain level of what we know of fear or happy, and we do whatever we need to do to keep it status quo. So when we start to raise it, like I was talking about my friend earlier, she's doing new things, new habits, new behaviors, and it gets uncomfortable. And rather than be uncomfortable, because she's not quite aware of that yet, she creates some drama or trauma, something, to bring her back to that level of comfort, the place that she knows. So I get to help with new perspectives and shifting of those habits. One of the things I had her do is write a gratitude journal. And not only what is she grateful for, but the why part. That's what hooked me in when I started doing gratitude journals. It was the why part. Why am I grateful for that thing? It sets a tone for the day, and it helps me become more aware of when I'm not in that space. So when I'm getting triggered, now I'm getting out of the gratitude space or the happy space. It brings it more present. And I go, And I become observant, and I start looking around and feeling myself and what's going on. And sometimes I have to walk away from the situation before I can be present to what it is. Because in the moment as I'm reacting, I'm just reacting. So having a space between it, a little buffer place where I can get away from that person or situation. Sometimes it's simply walking outside or walking into another room where I can just take a deep breath and start feeling around inside of me what's getting triggered for me. What am I reacting to? Is it really this person, or is it something that's really old? Because there are things that happen today in our world that we might not be responding to, and it feels like a reaction. And the response is that this is no longer okay in my world. Like there's a boundary that maybe needs to be put in place that says, I'm not okay being treated that way. So I've noticed lately that I have a feeling, a reaction to something, and I call it, I forgot what I was talking about the other day. It was a judgment, or it was something I was reacting to, and it feels the same as my normal MO, my normal reaction. And when I got away from it and can look at it, I thought, I'm not actually reacting to that. I'm responding to something else, but calling it that because it feels the same. So sometimes we do that. I'm having something that feels like my normal MO reaction, when in fact it was something that wasn't okay, and my body was responding because I'm that plugged in now that it was no longer okay in my space, whatever was happening. And I wish I could remember what it was. I could give you that specific detail. So, but that's what I'm noticing now is I will label it the thing that I'm used to reacting to because it feels the same. And when I step away from it and really look at it, I go, I'm not actually reacting. I'm responding because it was, I know what it was. It was about talking with someone about my business. And everything in me was resisting it. Just had this deep resistance of like, nope, not going there. And when I got away from the conversation and I was sharing it with someone, so I'm not really resisting it. It's simply that it wasn't time for the conversation, and that's what my body was telling me. But it felt the same as when I'm resisting the conversation. Does that make sense? Are you both muted?
I'm muted. I unmuted myself. I think it makes sense. So it wasn't actually I'm confused. It wasn't actually a bad reaction. It was a positive reaction, but it felt like a negative reaction. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So I'll label it. I'm feeling like I'm resisting this conversation because of something that I think I'm hearing from them. And when I actually had a conversation with someone else about it, mentor person, he said, well, it wasn't really time for the conversation. And I went, but the feeling is that I'm resisting it. So I'm learning to discern am I really resisting the conversation, or is it that's my cue that it's not time for that conversation?
Yeah.
So it was just, I'm labeling it because it feels the same, but I'm learning that it's not. So there's that distinction of it's not the same. Sometimes I feel like I'm in judgment of something. And I call it judgment when I'm really just being discerning of a situation and seeing what it is.
Yeah.
But I'll label it, I'm sitting in judgment, and that has this whole negative thing about it. And that is my MO. I do judge. So it's easy to just go, I'm judging, I'm being judgmental. And then I'm hard on myself rather than, well, maybe I'm just being objective and I'm really being discerning of the situation. And it's not coming from judgment. So sometimes it's just checking my own motives because it feels the same as what I normally do. So I hope you followed the thread of where I went with that.
Yes, I did.
Anything taking away from this or anything that you can relate to in your own life?
I feel like I can relate it back to what we were talking about before, like the busyness thing, like just the being, super, like go all the time. It's actually like I have to be discerning with that because I can be doing it to avoid, but also sometimes it can be really great and it can be really like pushing me forward and creating momentum. And so just being discerning about like, when am I like just doing like quote unquote busy work that's not really like meaningful, or just like packing my schedule full when I don't need to, and just avoiding, things that are really going on. And when am I actually just being super productive? And I can, you know what I mean? Because either way, on either end of the spectrum, you can judge it. You can be like, oh, you're not doing enough, or you're doing too much, and they're both bad. You know what I mean?
I think in that it would be what's driving me. It's becoming aware in my own body. What's driving me? Am I being driven because I'm being productive and I'm purposeful?
Yeah.
Or am I being busy, work, and not really very productive?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get that. I'm guilty of that too. I know you're still muted, Stacey. Do you want to add anything there?
I just wanted to add that I liked how you brought up judgment versus discerning a situation, because I immediately always go to, I'm judging it. And I have a sponsee who that's her primary character defect is she does sit in judgment. So I'm going to really look at when am I judging and when am I actually discerning a situation to see what's truly going on. If that makes sense. Oh, and I did like your gratitude journal. I do a gratitude list, but I like the add why part.
Yes, the why part taught me how. Well, it was told to me that when you say why you're grateful for something, it brings you out of your head and into your heart. Because I can write gratitude all day long. But when I talk about the why I'm grateful for that, it puts me in my heart instantly.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for being here today. Great to have you join us, Kate.
Mhm.
Anything else before we depart for our day?
Thank you for holding it, Marty.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you for your wisdom.
Excellent. Thanks for being here. I will stop the